Yeah, this was a patient referred to us, had undergone a phaco 8 days prior and presented with these lesions, which were pretty deep. And as you can see, it was a temporal phaco, so it was at the incision site and also at the side port incisions. These were deep infiltrates. Clinically, we thought it was fungal, the way they were fluffy kind of lesions. The same day, another patient operated by the same in the same clinic had a similar lesion at the wound site, deep infiltrate. Apparently, 4 of the 6 cases operated on the same day by the same surgeon had problems. So there was deep infiltration. There was no surface infiltration for scraping. We really didn't know the etiology and how to manage this. So I'll open this as a question to, I'll spare Somashila and Rajiv. So what would you?
I would definitely do a suture biopsy for this case.
Okay.
And send it for microbiological assessment.
Anything different that Dr. Ritu?
It looks like a tunnel infection.
It is.
It is a tunnel infection, and definitely looks fungal to me.
Yeah. So that's what we.
I'd like to take a scrape from here.
Yeah.
And then send it for distribution.
It's a pretty deep lesion over here. One could maybe take that. We actually went ahead and did patch graft for these patients, and we actually also gave antifungal to the patient. So there was this one large graft and a separate graft, and on this one graft over here. And to our surprise, it turned out to be nocardia. It was on AFB, 10% AFB, and not fungus. So nocardia is again one of those bacteria, a little elusive like Mycobacterium. So aerobic, gram-positive, non-motile branching filamentous bacteria. Very slow-growing, chalky white colonies.
In all the 4 cases, the nocardia?
Yeah, so this is what we did, and this is how these patients progressed. This patient who acquired a 624 vision, and this one actually 6.9 vision. And the patients did well with amikacin and eye drops. We actually gave intrastromal antifungal at that time, thinking that it was fungal. But just with topical amikacin, they responded.
But I just want to say for the house, for people suppose who are not doing keratoplasty.
Right.
And if they get this kind of a case, what would you advise?
Yeah, so it is extremely important to know the etiology, because if we had gone on the lines of fungal only, the patient would not have responded. But I'll take you to what happened to other 2 cases that presented to us much later. So 2 of those 6 came later. So we put them on antifungal, I think only for about probably 24 or 48 hours, didn't see a response, and we actually thought that it's best to intervene.
Antifungal or topical natamycin?
Topical natamycin. Yeah, would be very poor. So we didn't see any response. So I think it was virtually within 24 hours we took them up for surgery. However, these patients came later, 2 weeks after surgery, and this patient 4 weeks after surgery. And as you can see, because they presented pretty late, they had much more inflammation and anterior chamber exudation. We did a patch graft, and this one required a core vitrectomy because even the vitreous had got involved. We knew at this point what the etiology is going to be. We guessed that these also would be suffering from nocardia. Probably the same blade was used in all these cases. That must have caused this. And they also grew nocardia, but as you see, the outcome is no longer as good. So early intervention, according to me, in tunnel infections, I feel tunnel infections are very deep infections and very close to the angle. The infection tends to seep into the angle. in other cases also I've seen that it's much better to intervene surgically early with a patch graft and try to remove as much of the organism as you can. They respond. Yes. So we recently have a case like that also. So voriconazole seems to have much better penetration also typically. Yeah. So it's good to have a patch graft. You don't need a very good quality tissue if you can. Not the easiest of cases because you're working at the angle, and sometimes if it's a SICS wound, then you're pretty far behind and you're almost over the ciliary body area. So sometimes they are tricky to manage. But early intervention, you can get a pretty good outcome. And as you can say, the delayed patients didn't do well. Okay, another oh my God moment. There's this 64-year-old gentleman who underwent a corneal penetrating keratoplasty elsewhere in 2008. And he presented to us 1 week after a suture removal elsewhere. And he had this infiltrate at the host graft junction, again with no epithelial defect, and it was like crystals going into the stroma. So you diagnose an infectious crystalline keratopathy. No stromal edema around it. The graft is absolutely clear. The patient was otherwise asymptomatic. Now, what we did, and retrospectively we've learned maybe not the right thing, we thought, okay, we'll keep a closer follow-up on it, added a little more intensive antibiotic. Usually it's a gram-positive bacilli or a strep that causes this. We put on moxifloxacin. The topical steroids were continued. We kept a close follow-up, and for 3 months period, he continued to remain like this. It wasn't going this way or that way. Just kept seeing the patient every 2 weeks. At 3 months period, we suddenly found that now this infiltrate is going beyond the host graft junction. And that was not a good sign, because if we had to intervene, it would have been better to intervene when it was still restricted within the graft. What should you be doing? Maybe. But we don't know the etiology. What should be done to know the etiology? And then how do you manage it? We continued the patient on the routine steroids with an antibiotic cover and a close follow-up. The patient was no. The patient wasn't diabetic.
Usually a long-standing PKP old man, minimal scarring at that area, I would first think it could be a candidal infection.
It could be, and you may be right. But we were shooting in the dark at that time. We didn't know what it was. You didn't have an ety. The infiltrate was very slow. The patient was asymptomatic. The graft is clear. Any graft is a locally immunosuppressed because of the topical steroids that you give.
So, the only thing that you can do is stop the topical steroids, in which case it will flare up.
Yeah, so that's exactly what happened. So to know the etiology, we stopped the topical steroids, because topical steroids, what they are doing is they are containing the inflammation. The biofilms that are formed by organisms are getting contained locally. And so we stopped the topical steroids, and you were right. The inflammation flared up. There was a breakdown of the epithelium. The cornea became totally steamy. At this point, the culture showed Candida organism. So basically, we put the patient on fluconazole. The topical steroids were completely withdrawn. And we thought we'd lost the eye and we'll need to repeat the transplant because it was getting very edematous. And for several weeks, he had to continue the antifungals. But surprisingly, just with antifungals, the patient actually started to improve. And even the corneal edema started to reduce. And in 2 months' time, the cornea cleared quite a bit. We were just fortunate, I think. And the infiltration resolved. It healed with a scar. There was a little fibrinous membrane over the IUL, which we yagged later. And we again put the patient on topical steroids. Happy ending? Not really. So the patient had 612 vision. 6 months later, can you beat it? The patient again had an infiltration on the same area, presented similarly with an ICK situation, no epithelial defect, the crystalline lesions. This time we knew, okay, we need to stop the steroids. We stopped the steroids. He started flaring up like this. Again, he grew candida. And we put him on antifungals. Eventually, he healed, but this time, of course, the cornea didn't clear further. Became a quiet eye. The patient, of course, after this ordeal, he still is in my follow-up, but doesn't want another surgery. His fellow eye is doing all right. So, basically, what we learned was that one, candida is an organism we really don't think of in India. But in these situations, it's possible to get candida, and we sometimes found these candida as an organism causing keratitis. It's important to stop the steroids to actually, for you to know what you're dealing with and to be able to do a microbiology workup. And it's essentially because of biofilms that you have ICK. So the biofilms do not allow, it's contained within that. The steroids keep it under that control and may give you a false sense of satisfaction, but to get the organism, you've got to stop the steroids and let it flare up.
When did you restart the steroids after the first episode?
I think virtually at about 2 months. We stopped it for a long period. It just cleared up, and the cornea cleared up. That I think we were just lucky that it cleared up, but it again flared up. It hadn't gone totally. It was still hiding within.
This was mainly due to the biofilms,
Yeah.
they basically, which are there.
Then fluconazole. We gave initially amphotericin and fluconazole, then we withdrew the amphotericin and just put him on fluconazole for a length of time. Yeah. That's what happened. So, do we have time? Okay, the last one quickly. There was this young patient, this was just a few weeks back, 21-year-old male, a keratoconus patient on RGPs, presented with a red eye, and we see these infiltrates. So, Dr. Somashila, unfortunately, I'll target it. What would be your differential?
Keratoconus patient.
Would you put your microsporidosis sometime? 2 course.
The patient is on contact lenses, that's what you said.
Yes.
So either sterile infiltrates versus acanthamoeba.
Yeah. Yeah, so actually, this is a little later. The first few weeks were just some SPKs on the surface.
Very localized.
And again, not knowing what it was. So we thought it may be microsporidosis. We tried a debridement also. We also thought that maybe we are dealing with he had a lot of meibomian meibomitis. So are we dealing with blepharokeratoconjunctivitis? Put him on topical steroids. Of course, that kind of quietened the eye, and for a few weeks he was doing okay with that. And then he presents with a breakdown. We actually had sent, even at the time of scraping to our microbiologist, we didn't see any organism at that time. At this point, we re-scraped, and at this time we got acanthamoeba. So you need Dr. Somashila's clinical acumen to pick it up in your clinics. But acanthamoeba in this patient actually is what we were dealing with, and we put the patient on PHMB eye drops, and with that he cleared, and with an RGP is again kind of like 612 vision. Do we have time? Or
So the patient got cross-linked then?
Yeah, the patient got cross-linked with the scarring.
We have 5 minutes.
Okay. So the quick one, this is a bilateral infective keratitis following uneventful bilateral LASIK elsewhere. This was 3 days post LASIK. The flaps were lifted and for culture, and I think there was no organism found at that time, and the patient was put on this treatment empirically. The patient responded, and the doctor was happy. Things were coming around. At day 7, pain had reduced, watering, photophobia, size of infiltration, even the vision kind of had improved, and there was an impression of a healing keratitis. The patient presented to the clinic after on the next week, and with again pain, redness, and decreased vision. At this time, we saw the patient, and this is the picture of the patient. There was infiltration over here, more in the left eye than the right, and a lot of edema around, as you can see over here. What do you think is happening? The patient had infective keratitis, started to respond on treatment, then comes back again after 5 days with more severe inflammation. So we were thinking all kinds. Is the patient immunocompromised, or maybe we've not found the organism? Why it showed a response earlier and then coming back? Yeah. So
Actually,
basically, if you look again, there was a lot of edema over here, stromal edema. The infiltration actually wasn't that much. It was more of edema over here. And basically, we were dealing with right now, because of the organisms and the inflammation, now the patient presented with a DLK. So we actually added topical steroids on the patient, and with that the patient started responding, and within a month the corneas cleared. This of course had a scar, and on RGP contact lens on the left, the patient had a decent vision. So again, it is the organisms, especially if they're gram-negative organisms, they secrete endotoxins, and that can cause an inflammatory reaction under the flap, causing a DLK picture. So what we were dealing with was an inflammatory pathology and not an infective pathology when the patient had the second spike of inflammation. So thank you very much. I think we are shut down.